Good evening, YouTubers. What day is it today?
Monday.
It's Monday.
Hello, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everybody. Yes, we've heard the news.
Very bad news we've had tonight, I'm afraid.
Broke hours ago, and we didn't talk about it straight away.
I was very shocked, actually. Yes. The King, of course, we're talking about. King of England, King Charles. I keep calling him Prince Charles. King Charles, he's been diagnosed. Well, everybody knows, it's all over the news. It's not new news, but he went in for prostate treatment, didn't he? The other day, and they said, oh, he's got routine. So they've obviously done a biopsy on him, and they've discovered. They're not saying what it is. They just said it's it's not prostate. It's something else, cancer. And I'm not prepared to speculate. I mean, everybody can't help it. Everyone sort of speculates, don't they? But I'm not going to speculate publicly because I respect his privacy. You know, he's done very well to tell us, because they wouldn't have told us in the old days, would they? They wouldn't have. They'd just announced one day he's dead, and we think, hey, didn't even know he was ill. I mean, that's what they do, isn't it? So I'm not going to speculate as to what's wrong with him.
My instant reaction was I burst into tears.
She did. She'd be like, oh my God, she's on the phone like this.
I've not always been a fan of Charles, but it was this time last year, more or less, that you had your diagnosis.
I got my diagnosis,
and it just all come back.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking of Camilla, William, Catherine, the whole family, Anne, Andrew,
and what's ahead,
Sophie, Edward, you know, and I know the journey. Yeah.
I had chemotherapy, I had surgery, and here I am today. But this, you know, if I don't know what kind of cancer he's got, so I don't know what the treatment is, but you know.
And it's none of our business.
It's none of our business. If he doesn't want to share it, that's fine. I didn't share it. I mean, obviously my inner circle, no.
I think he's exceptional to even have told people.
Yes, I do. I think that's I've got to take my hat off to him. But I mean, I didn't tell anybody what kind of cancer I had, because that's personal to me. I wasn't ready to share that. And I still haven't shared it, generally speaking.
In fact, we didn't tell anyone on YouTube.
But we told them I had cancer.
Not until the summer. We didn't actually tell anybody
until...
I
think I was on chemotherapy.
I think you'd already had... I'm not sure if we told them before chemo.
Well, it was during the chemotherapy. It was in the summer when we was having chemotherapy.
Yeah.
I think the...
We were on the boat. We were on the bow of the boat.
When did I get diagnosed? May, was it, or March?
May. Mid-May.
And then I had
that's when we got
sessions of chemotherapy after
that's
that.
When we
and then surgery.
And it's like a wrecking ball. I mean, anyone who's you guys out there have had diagnosis. What I do want to say is, when you get the diagnosis, when you got your diagnosis and we finally came out of the hospital, I said to you, "What do you want to do? Do you want me to? Do you want to just go abroad? Do you want to go somewhere, do something?"
Well, yeah.
And one thing you said was, I don't want to work at Dolphin Safari while this is going on.
Yeah.
So we went straight to talk to Tim.
Yeah.
He was the next to find out, and he was completely, that's okay. But cancer is not a death sentence.
No, but Tim knew what was going on, because I'd confided in him.
Had you?
About the problem I had.
Right.
And he said, go to the doctor, go and see the doctor. Well, it's obvious advice, isn't it? And I've been reluctant, but, you know, I bit the bullet and went. And it was a good job I did, because these things, if you catch them in time, they can do something about them. If you leave it too long, you know, these things spread and then they get out of hand. And
it depends.
It's a very complicated subject, and, you know, the doctors...
And I mean, in your instance, you had the top surgeons in the UK, and I'm certain the King will have probably the exact same.
Well, it depends what kind of cancer he's got,
they do all the cancers. They do all that nature.
Yeah,
all of it.
I mean,
for the men, he will have the same people. He'll have Mr. T, Mr. K. They're the top.
robotic surgery.
Oh, well, the robotic side was Jonathan. That's his speciality. There were 15 people in Graham's operation.
Yeah.
15.
It was major abdominal surgery, but that's all I'm going to say about it, because I don't want
Yeah, I mean,
to
God knows what it is.
because the
what
king might
specifics?
have the same as me. I don't know if he did or not. I'm not prepared to say. I'm not prepared to speculate, because I might be completely wrong.
It doesn't matter what the specifics are. I mean, that's a personal thing. The fact of the matter is that for anybody having cancer, whether you've got a small mole that's been diagnosed as skin cancer, or whether you have a larger internal tumour, or whatever you have, cancer is not a death sentence.
I wouldn't wish it on anybody. Not even my worst troll.
In this day and age, cancer is not a death sentence. And I think what brought that home to me was once you'd said you
Can be.
It can be, but once you'd been brave enough to say that you had been diagnosed with cancer, what shocked me was the sugars jumped on it as if, Graham's going to die in a couple of weeks.
Ignore them.
But,
what do you expect them to say? You know what I mean?
but that's the way a lot of people who've never been affected by cancer think that cancer is an instant death sentence.
Well, because they're like 16 years old.
No, but a lot of people of many ages think if they were to go, the reason people are fearful to go and be checked out is because they fear if they're diagnosed with cancer, it's an instant death sentence. And the sugars are just morons that think that. But a lot of other people, myself included, before your diagnosis, when the guy said it in the room, I just had to look away, and I started to sort of stop breathing.
Well, I wasn't too pleased about it myself.
And a lot of people think it's a death sentence, and it's not. It's not necessarily going to be that.
The earlier the better. If they can catch it early enough, they can get rid of it. And,
well, yours was very late, and they caught it, and they've cured you.
Hopefully.
Well, you are clear.
Well, I'm in the position where I've got to go. I appear to be clear, and I've got to go and have scans every 3 months and see if anything shows up. So that's where I am with the recovery. So if I'm still alive in 5 years' time, they'll go, "Hey, you're cured, mate." But
it's not like that. What they do is the standard of care, and I hate that expression, but the standard of care is they do follow-up checkups 4 or 5 years after. And if you're okay, chances are you will be okay, and then you come back if you have a further symptom. They're not saying you're only going to live 5 years after you've been diagnosed.
No.
I mean, anyone looking at you, just your face, your complexion, your hair, came back with a vengeance after the chemo.
I know.
Curly.
It's come back curly. I'm even growing it a bit to see what it looks like, because I've never had curly hair before, but it grew back curly.
It's very soft and silky.
Yeah.
And it really has, especially at the back. It's like Larry the Lamb. It's unbelievable. So I would imagine that King Charles, whatever has happened, it will be receiving what they call treatment, which is like chemo. Now, when they said felt like being hit in the face by a bulldozer. It really did. I mean, the diagnosis, they're talking chemo, they're talking surgery. I was freaking out. You were freaking out.
Don't forget, though, Prince Charles is a lot older than me.
12 years?
Was he born in 47? So he's about 15 years older than me.
Not that much older.
I think I was born in 61, back end of 61, so he's like 15 years older than me. So he must be 77, something like that by now.
But I mean, the initial guys sort of hit us with, well, there'll be chemo, there'll be all this sort of butchery surgery, there'll be this, and then there might be follow-up chemo and blah, blah, blah. And each person is individual, so it's different. And chemotherapy, I think it's not that well known. But when we went to see the nurse, they explained there are about 70 different types of chemotherapy. They have all different types, and a lot of them are catered.
Yeah.
So the first thing I presume the king will have is some sort of chemo, and that is the standard of care. As you've heard me all say before, that is the standard of care, is to do chemo because it can be floating around in your body in your blood cells. So they give you the chemo, make sure all that's reduced, but they're kind of wanting to kill the cancer but not the patient, etc. And then there's a big gap between that and surgery, because the patient has to heal and be in the best, most optimal position for surgery. So King Charles I don't think he's going to go under the knife straight away. He's having treatment and he will have the best. And before anti-monarchists start on this, King Charles will jump the queue. King Charles will have a better doctor than everybody else.
He won't.
Bollocks. What he might have is he will go to a private hospital so as not to be a burden on the National Health Service. He will pay privately. He will have the same surgeons that Graham had. I guarantee it, because Mr. T and Mr. K are the top. They are the top. And they're extremely caring people. And Jonathan, who is the expert at robotics, he will have him or one of his colleagues that we met. But they will be paid. It won't be on the national... There are national health doctors, but the King will pay them like private. But it is no less, no more treatment. I get no.
I imagine the treatment would be the same.
Because your focus
we'd have a fancy room. You wouldn't be on a ward like me, you know.
Your focus a lot of the time was obviously on your condition, but I was talking to them a lot, and I became aware of how top the NHS surgeons are and how they work private and NHS, and when someone wants them, they pay. And the King will not be government funded, his health. I guarantee you he will not. But he will have the same care that you or I or you received, and the treatment you received. My God, I couldn't believe it. In the end, I was so terrified. And you had how many nurses when you came out of surgery?
They all came and went, you know. They
were marvellous.
Yeah.
Marvellous.
Well, they're on shifts. They were brilliant, absolutely brilliant. I mean, there was two that stood out. One was from Nepal, and she was brilliant. And the other one was from
India?
Tibet.
Oh, that's right.
But their family had run away from Tibet. They were living in India, so she'd obviously qualified in India. And they were the best nurses there. They were really, really good, really good. And couldn't.
There were literally.
Couldn't complain at all. Not about any of them. No, they were really professional. They were really good. And these are the basic nurses that are on the ward.
No, they were not basic nurses. I mean, when you first came out, and you had the girl. I say girl. I mean, she was my age. And she sort of leant on you and she said, listen, you must drink water. Listen to me, drink some water, but little sip. Do you remember all that when you first came out? And she was there every step of the way. They were marvellous. So really,
and they're not fast asleep or on the phone, nothing like that. She was really switched on. She was looking around. She's on everything. And she's on everyone on the ward, walking up and down. She's clocking everything. See everything okay? Bum, 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 bum. Whole shift. But I mean,
I really feel now, when people criticise the National Health Service, although your treatment was not actually on the National Health Service, because you're from Gibraltar, it's different, it's complicated.
Well, they've got the NHS in Gibraltar.
They do. There's a reciprocal, you know.
Yeah.
But so rest assured, the King will get the best. But he won't get better than you, Graham, or anyone else would receive.
Not in relation to this, no. I would imagine it's exactly the same.
It's bringing it all back to me now. Yeah. And I really am, right now, thinking of Camilla. I mean, I just burst into tears because of all the stuff in London.
Well, we don't know what his problem is, for a start. And a lot of cancers are curable if you get them quick enough. They are. So let's just not write anyone off just yet, because, you know.
I suppose I'm not really looking at it from Charles's point of view. I'm looking at it more from Camilla's and William and the journey. Because believe me, it's very bad for the patient, but the people around them as well, the journey and how this is all going to work. And then I see Harry's rushing back, so I'll be doing a video tomorrow about that, but I don't feel it's appropriate today. Quite frankly, he could have been there for Philip, he could have been there for Elizabeth, he could have been there for his father a lot before. I mean, to me, I've got a lot to say tomorrow about that, so I'll do a follow-up on that little brat, and I best not see Meghan there. But anyway, so we've got lots of thoughts and prayers.
Yes.
And I do you know, I will be, when I close my eyes and pray for Charles, I can see Big Ben, all those fag breaks in London, and the worry, and Big Ben, and I'll be thinking of him.
And as I said on Trevor's video today, he was talking about Big Ben. I said, Big Ben will be there, bonging away when we're all dead and gone.
Big Ben is the heartbeat of London. He really is. I love that guy. Thank you very much for listening.
Good night, and may your God go with you.